Hello and welcome to the Metropolitan Elites. We know nothing. It's nothing. There is no news really. Those lefties, libtards. Everything we say. It's just wrong, wrongness, wrong.
It really was a no news day this morning. When we put the news on first thing, there was a guy stood out of school moaning that his kid had been kicked out.
For not wearing school uniform.
For not wearing proper shoes.
Headline news, oh my god. I think the school sent home like 50 kids or something and they phoned the police. The parents phoned the police.
I mean, it does seem ridiculously strict.
Yeah, I've got quite strong opinions about school uniform. I've never believed. Obviously when you're at school you don't believe in it, but I still don't. It's nonsense. The argument, of course, is an excuse. The argument is, well, it means kids don't have to compete with their friends for clothes. It turns out that's exactly what's happening. Is that some kids can't afford this ridiculous gravy train academy stuff, where the academy's got a deal with one shop to sell overpriced, uncomfortable, impractical clothes.
Yeah, remember when we stepped up to high school and we had to get a blazer? There was only one shop in the whole town that did the blazer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they did the badges. They had a monopoly on the badge.
Yeah. Why is it only one shop? If it's true, it should be something practical.
Yeah.
It can be smart, but it can be practical. A shirt, a shirt. It's fine, isn't it? It doesn't have to be this one from this shop, or you're going home. That there is the force of conservatism.
Yeah.
And that it's normal. So I've got to think of an excuse to justify it, but there is no excuse.
Should we talk about grammar schools? As soon as we're on
education. Yeah, I mean, I've really struggled with grammar schools, but I don't want it to be default against them, but I think now the evidence is so conclusive that they don't work, that it is about pulling away the ladder, isn't it? They're there to pull away the ladder, and that's what they do, not intellectually. If it was pulling away the ladder intellectually, that would be one thing, and I could argue for that. Pulling away the ladder, basically, in terms of class, not even financially, in terms of class, that's what it does. It's obviously massively wrong, but it's they're trying to bring back a class society which never went away.
The thing that they think they're trying to address by bringing back grammar schools is this kind of social mobility problem that we've got. The evidence is that grammar schools
make it worse.
Will make it worse, because they disproportionately select outside of working class children.
Yeah.
So the chances are that you're not going to get in. There was, hear talk of the 11 plus. And so my dad was told he couldn't pass the 11 plus because he wasn't going to a grammar school. If he passed, he wouldn't be allowed, because he had to go out and sort of work basically. He had to contribute.
I mean, that says a lot, in that kids have been told they're going to fail it before they've done it.
Yeah.
So it's already been decided, no, you're not the right class, you can't do it.
Yeah.
But if it was intellectually elitist, if there was a way of measuring that really accurately, or academically elitist, really, if they could measure that better, and if they didn't, you can't cut it off at 11 years old. That's just mental, isn't it? There should be, you could have opportunity to jump across later on, but it will never be like that, because that's not actually what they want. And Theresa May talks about social mobility, and there was someone on the news saying social mobility is something she genuinely wants to work on. But she's obviously zealous, traditional Tory values. That seems to be what she is. So she's not. I'm sure she believes it, but her zealous clinging to an old-fashioned ideology will prevent it.
Yeah, the whole thing about social mobility is it's a solution to a problem that doesn't. Well, it does exist, I suppose. You want social mobility. What you don't want is a society where working class people can't do stuff with middle class people. Yeah. Social mobility is not the answer to that. Yeah. So what social mobility says is, don't worry. If you grow up in a working class household, you don't have to grow up to be working class. You can grow up to be middle class.
Become like us.
You can become like us, because we've got it right.
Down in London.
Yeah, if everyone was like us, then the country would be a lot better. Well, number one, I don't think that's true. Number two, I think that's incredibly naive, actually, to think that what we need is lots of middle class professionals, and this country would be all right.
Let them buy their houses.
Yeah,
that went well.
The issue is that the jobs. So we need good jobs for working class people to go into, because whether you like it or not, there's going to be certain people that just cannot pass the 11 plus.
And don't need to.
Don't need to. Yeah. It's not relevant, and yet, they will be perfectly happy doing a job, a productive job in the economy.
Because that's the job they want to do, and that's where they naturally go, and that's good.
Yeah. So leave them to it. But this sort of idea that what we've got to do is get people from working class to middle class, it actually shuts them out of those type of people out of the economy.
And you convince everyone through the media, you convince everyone that everyone is now middle class. There is no working class, which is obviously nonsense, because the class system is obviously still there. It never went away.
It's just been buried slightly.
Yeah, well, it's just been bullshitted, basically.
Yeah. Another issue about that I find, is that we're actually better educated now than we have been ever. 50% of people go to university.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the quality of students going into university isn't as high as it used to be. But you can't tell me a university graduate educated person isn't better educated than a high school person.
Well, I'm sure there's people who do.
30 years ago. Yeah. So, the education there, the issue is the lack of jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need jobs to go to. You could have, Einstein's walking around, but if they haven't got a job to go to, in which to utilise that, then it's a complete waste of time.
Exactly. And the bit we know about is the technology industry, and we know that the government squandered it, and we had it in our hands in the 80s, and they dropped the ball. They didn't invest, and that had massive long-term effects. The whole thing, the Thatcherism of that the new industries were supposed to rise from the ashes of everything else they'd screwed over. But they didn't invest it. They just took the money and gave it to their mates, basically, the Tories. So, back to the schools. From what you've said, I suppose my argument really specialist schools. So really, is that the solution for academies, rather than being businesses that bosses can skim money off the top? Should they be specialist schools? Should we have gone to a technology school or something? I don't know.
Yeah, the problem with that is we could have gone to a technology school, because we liked computers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I actually also liked the humanities. I actually quite like history. I quite liked English. Because
we had a really good history teacher one year, didn't we?
Yeah.
That's a part of it.
I've always been a little bit of a both sides of the fence sort of thing. You get people who are either science, mathsy, or people who are Englishy, geography, history, that sort of thing. I've always liked.
Yeah, I suppose. The point is you can't categorise people. We're both creative techie, aren't we? Which is a different thing to techie.
Mm-hmm.
So categorising is difficult. But an academy.
But specialisation would help.
Yeah,
there are definitely people.
And they would still teach history, and they would still. My daughter's going to sports in school next, a sports academy. I was like, my initial response was no, oh God, because my idea of sports at school is just awful. I'm sure it's very good now. I'm sure it's not just some bullying idiot making you run around in the cold. But actually, it wasn't really that bad. I always exaggerate it. So I can't say that when you're there. I can make up stuff when there's people there. But actually, it's a really good school, and they do computer science and all the stuff I think they should do. So it's an outstanding whatever. But I think you can still have specialisms, but there's got to be the opportunity to move. It's putting people in their box is the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
And is that communism, or is that right-wing class system? It's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the issue. If someone gets in a box and they suddenly realise, actually,
this is crap, I hate this.
I'm not doing this for my entire life.
Which is really common, isn't it? People come out of school and they get into their job and this sucks.
Yeah. And there's the other side of education, sort of adult education. But it comes to a point where it's just impossible. Well, not impossible, but very, very difficult and very, very expensive to change vocation.
No. Never used to be, because it used to be paid for.
So if you had decent adult education services, subsidised, doesn't have to be free, subsidised, then it wouldn't matter so much if people are put in their box at an early age.
Exactly. Yeah. That's social mobility right there, isn't it? Yeah. It's been taken away. Sorry. You have to stay where you are. Well, further education, that's a whole other video. 4-hour video of why it's wrong, or why actually it's being sabotaged. That was good. There we go.
Yeah.
Is that enough? We haven't mentioned Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Corbyn. There's an election this month, isn't it?
Yeah, I think.
And he's going to win.
Yeah,
that's the news.
I think they're preparing for that.
Is Trump going to win?
I don't think so. I think he's sort of...
I'm going to stick with it. I think I made the prediction in like January. I said, well, I think it's going to be Trump. Well, at that time, it was ridiculous. We'll show a clip. If he wins, we'll show a clip of me saying that in January. I'll say Trump. I think it's going to be Trump.
It's interesting because they had a debate yesterday, and it wasn't a debate. One was interviewed after the other, and they put both pictures up on the screen, and I thought, I don't like any of these candidates.
Well, exactly.
I'm glad I don't have to make this choice.
Yeah, which socket do you want to stick your finger in? That's literally what it is, isn't it?
It's quite bad, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he won the sort of evil, neoliberal, corrupt politician, or an idiot who can't do anything, who's just born into lots of money, and that's the only reason he's there. His brain is as stupid as his hair. So yeah, we are the Metropolitan Elites. Catch you next time for more Metropolitan Elites. Metropolitan Elites.